when they go in the house, the first thing I promise you they'll do is they'll go to the kitchen, open the cabinets and be like, wow, I can see my tumblers in this cabinet.
Right.
I can see that. They'll
The
open
50% closet rule.
Welcome back to the Modern Agent Podcast. My name is Logan Ricchetti with Modern Realty. This podcast is a combination of thoughts and opinions on the real estate market in Midland, Michigan with our local real estate agents from Modern Realty. Our mission is to create informed and confident buyer and seller clients, so tune in to learn more about Midland's real estate market.
So hi.
Hello.
Hi. Today we're doing the Modern Agent Podcast here. My name is Cassie Cohoon, and I have been with Modern for about 6 years, and I'm here with Brett, an amazing realtor that I work with on a daily basis. We're going to have some conversations about real estate, and we're going to inform you about what we can help you with on a daily basis. Yeah. So just to get started, I want to touch base on kind of like how we both got started in real estate and how we both, determined what we were going to do. So, Brett, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you know and all the good things about you.
Yeah, well, Cassie, I started real estate just under a year ago.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Geez.
Yeah. So I got my real estate license. Actually, before that, I worked it's called the Arnold Center. So I helped individuals get jobs, and those individuals had barriers to employment. And so that's when I really found wow, I love helping people, get to their goals.
Yes.
I love helping them get to where they want to go. And I was like, shoot, how can I do this on a larger scale?
Yes.
And I was like, you know what? I have a family friend who's a real estate agent, and they are making dreams come true. And I was like, let's try it out.
Gotcha.
So I took the class, 40 hours, whew. And then I took the test, and I was like, okay, you know what? This is going to be good. And so I started full-time in October of 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, full-time. And ever since, just seeing people achieve, first-time home buyers buying a house, it's the most exciting point, most exciting thing they do.
Yeah,
and
it's a big achievement. Yes.
Helping them get there is really, really what I want, and that's why I love real estate. How about you, Cassie?
Well, I started in real estate, obviously it was, I had been in construction for about 14 years working for Lowe's and different things. And for me, it was more like I became a stay-at-home mom and I wanted something part-time, which we kind of joke in real estate. There is no such thing as part-time. But I went into real estate and I really just enjoy actually talking to people. If anybody knows me or knows anything about real estate, I like to talk. And so I love informing people and talking to them about their day-to-day and getting them through the process, making it feel more fun. And, working with different clients, something that I've always wondered is, as you work with your different clients and basis and different groups, we have buyers all the way from $70,000 to $600,000. What do you find that are the similar things between clients that you can really find, similarities? And what are some of the major differences that you can do to create the best experience for your clients?
Yeah, so absolutely. So first off, a lot of the buyers I work with are new first-time home buyers, and so they don't know where to start or what the process looks like. So first I sit down and we have the buyer consultation. So that talks about, okay, what's a realtor? How do I buy a house? How do I get the money? I don't have all my ducks in a row. So we sit down, and we talk about, hey, here's a lender. Well, Brett, I have more questions. Well, that's when they can ask me all those questions.
So you sit down and you start with the buyer consultation.
Yes.
You guide them into planning what the steps are to buying, and obviously you guide them to a lender. We say we guide. We try to provide them with a lender, right?
Yes.
That will suit their needs. So that could be a difference in real estate for sure. That's one thing I find is that when we are sitting down with these first-time home buyers or third-time home buyers that haven't bought in 10 years, many of the things are the same, very similar. We have to lead them through that process, right? right?
Yeah.
And the home buying process can be difficult. We have to make sure that everyone's comfortable at each step of the way. I have met many, I'm sure you have too, buyers that think they know everything about the process because they've bought or sold 3 homes. But in essence, we all know that there's something new with today's market.
Yeah.
In today's market, it is exceptionally hard for our first-time home buyers. So tell me about what you do that you enjoy the most for our first-time home buyers, so that you can, explain to me what's different with that.
Yeah, so absolutely. So first, we figure out, okay, we know our budget. What do you want? What are your needs and what are your wants? Because they're different. They really are.
Oh, yes. Yep,
because,
yep.
I need 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, but I'd love, tons of land. Tons of land is a kind of a want in some cases.
It is, especially today. Yeah.
And so we set realistic expectations because we want to.
That's a really good term, realistic expectations. So you set those expectations.
Yeah. Because I'd hate for them to go into the market and be like, why are we looking at all these small houses? No, we set realistic expectations so that they know what to look, what to expect in the process.
Right.
And so then we find houses that they want to look at.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it's, wow, like I didn't know how, I didn't know what wasn't on the market.
Right. Right.
So,
and it is, we're in 2024, a very big year in real estate because the interest rates have increased, right? Yeah. And the seller pool is smaller and smaller because, of course, we have this thing called population increase. But, how do you structure your offers in order to help your buyers, right? Like, what are some of the things that you can do to help them achieve their goals in this slim pickings that we currently have?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, when we think of an offer, we, of course, want to be strategic, right? Because we want, to win. But also we have to think on the other side is, do we want to offend the seller? And that's where you have to be careful when you write an offer. So I like to sit down with the lender and with my clients and figure out what can we do to make sure that my clients feel comfortable and what would be a good payment for them.
Yes,
and
that's really important.
And from that, then we are able to structure an offer where they feel comfortable and where they feel informed. That, okay, I know what my offer is talking about. I understand my EMD, earnest money deposit.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people have, even third-time buyers are like, what is that again? What do we do? And something that you kind of touched on in talking about this is being strategic. Being strategic in our offer writing helps our buyers allow themselves to be in the best position possible in their financial situation so that they can write an offer they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
It is important that you're not only putting a structured offer together that the seller likes, but also something that your buyer's comfortable sleeping on or not sleeping on if it happens. Sometimes the highest price is not always the best for our clients, and we have to have those hard conversations. So current market assessments in today's times allows our buyer pool to be more comfortable with the options they have. All right. So, when we're talking about today's new buyers and even sellers, right? How are you tailoring your services to really help first-time home buyers that schedules and chaotic life might not be fit to a T?
Yeah, it's actually funny. So I have these clients who we closed on a house. Thank goodness. They were so excited, first-time home buyers. But they work 12-hour shifts.
Ah, the 12-hour shift show.
So they work, in the morning all the way, late evening, and just looking at houses was hard for them.
Yeah.
So I make sure that I'm available. I want to be able to make sure that they can see the houses that they want to see. And when they have questions, I also make sure that I have somebody that can answer those questions for them. So I have a huge
network.
I have a huge network
Yeah.
of people that can work with my clients to help them achieve their goals.
Absolutely. And it is tough because I feel like, in 2019, which was a little before, 2019, we had, 2019, 2020, we had maybe 24 minutes to respond and get an offer in. I'm just kidding. It was maybe 24 hours. But, you had 24 hours, a new house comes on market. You literally have to be out there, show them the house, write the offer, get it in. Otherwise, you're not getting a house. I think one thing that realtors have done in the last few years, which is an amazing thing, and I'm glad for all of us now, is we've really tailored our sellers to understand that this is going to be a 3 to 3 day process at certain price points. And then, of course, it could be a 30 or 60 day process at certain price points. Being available to show them a house nowadays on different scheduled timelines and talking to your sellers about making sure they're prepared for those showings to come is really important. Can you tell me a couple of the things that you might discuss with a seller about when they're going to be listing a home or if they're thinking about listing a home?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I know my sellers. I get to know them a little more and figure out what their schedule looks like, right? If they have, children living with them, or if
so
they're
important to the
busy
scheduling.
family. You're a mom. You understand it.
My mom.
So I want to make sure that they also sell their house, but also showings don't interfere with their life, because I want the process to be smooth.
Yes.
Super smooth. I don't want them to even see me. You're kind of like a ninja.
Right. So when you first sit down with them, though, when you first sit down with the seller, we talk about the process at Modern. What are some of those elements of making sure you're getting a home listed and presented in an easy way? If you were talking to a seller today, what would you tell them are the major 3 things that we need to work on at the beginning of getting ready to sell our home?
Yeah. So what I tell my sellers actually is I tell them, first off, declutter. People will look in those cabinets. They'll open, when they go in the house, the first thing I promise you they'll do is they'll go to the kitchen, open the cabinets and be like, wow, I can see my tumblers in this cabinet.
Right.
I can see that. They'll
The
open
50%
the drawers.
closet rule.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I always say declutter, depersonalize.
Yes.
Why depersonalize?
Yeah.
The reason I say that is they want to envision themselves in that home. And if they see tons of photos of, other people, they're going to be like, nah, I don't know. So I always just say minimalize.
Yes. Okay.
And it really helps the moving process anyway, because you have to pack it up anyway. So
Yes.
why not start early?
100%. That preparation is so important for our listing people. And of course, getting them a relative market assessment. Okay. I have a little bit of information on what the current market looked like, and I'm going to put this into a shorter version, but let's go from here. Okay. So I have some stats in front of me from 2018 to now, and it talks about the widening of the market from location. So what I'm speaking of is location and buyers is not as important anymore with so many remote workers. And we're finding, you and I have talked about this, we're finding that people are not as concerned with location anymore. They're more concerned with internet service. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? And so we're seeing that certain markets are increasing. So those buyers or those sellers out there in more rural areas are seeing a huge uptick in the sale of their home. Cohoon, Thomas Township, Merrill, Hemlock, all of these places. Are you seeing that on a day-to-day basis, that you're seeing people looking to the more rural and agricultural areas?
I do, because I'm helping clients right now who they love the city life, but it's a little too hectic for them. So we are looking at these houses out, rural areas. I mean, and they want to get a house with, a barn for horses.
Okay.
And what's funny is they want to live out in the country, but the first thing they check when they get to the house is, how many bars of service do I have?
Yes, the bars of service rule. Can I use my phone?
Yeah.
It is. And I'm finding that, and I'm also finding that horse people, and maybe this is just me, but horse people, they got needs, okay? And this is a positive thing. Horse people need their needs, right? So I'm finding that outside market is really coming into the city. And I am finding that people are really wanting to expand back into the agricultural areas and maybe homestead. Maybe it's these homesteading shows that we're seeing nowadays in real estate. People are desiring different things. So when you're talking about just a regular buyer who needs to sell a house and buy, what steps can you say would help them achieve if they're trying to sell and buy a home at the same time? And how can we help them with that?
Yeah, so I always talk to them first, and I say, okay, what happens if, your house sits? I hope it doesn't, but what if?
Yeah.
Right? But you see this house that you really like. Can you or can't you buy the house without having to sell?
Right.
Okay.
Very big question. Yes.
Right. And okay, you can. You don't have to sell your house, but you can buy this house without selling. Okay.
That's the best place to be in.
I wish, right?
Yes.
But will you or won't you be able to pay the mortgage?
That's a tough
Will
question.
you be able to manage 2 houses? Mm-hmm. In a perfect case, it'd be great if, as a realtor, I had all the time in the world to sell your first house.
Right.
But I want to fit your schedule, right? And I want to fit, your finances and your needs. So my goal is to help you first sell as quickly as possible. And that has to do with pricing. And that has to do with open houses. And it has to do with marketing of your house.
Yeah.
That really, to sell your house first, that's what I have to do. And then once under contract, we're going to put an offer and we're going to get an accepted offer and get a house under contract.
And make sure that they're ready for all of it and ready and informed.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a little side note from the real estate process. And I'm going to ask you about your other business ventures, because not only are you a great real estate agent, but you also have a great venture out there that it's called what? Where is it?
It's Boomerang Coffee Lounge.
Boomerang Coffee Lounge.
Yeah. So
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So Boomerang Coffee Lounge has been in Midland since September 27th of 2021. And before that, we actually we started out as Pioneers Coffee Co. We did catering to weddings, business events, DuPont. So we did that. We had a trailer, a couple carts, and we loved it. My wife and I, my wife Megan, we loved it because we got to network with people, get to
Go out there and meet them.
Yeah, just meet people. And we really like to specialize in weddings because I'm a person where I like to see people celebrate when they hit their goal, right? Their goal is to get married, and beautiful weddings happen all the time. And so just being a part of that special day and having people who trusted me, right? Trusted, pioneers to cater at their wedding was something I really loved. And so coffee was a whole aspect. And my wife and I, when we got married, we bought a coffee shop in Bay City, and we moved it to Midland. And ever since, it's been a great
business venture.
Yeah, it's been great. And, meeting so many people too. Networking is...
You really do enjoy networking and meeting people. That's really, you really do have a joy, right? A joy for meeting and talking to people. That's one of my things that I think we get so along. I always want to create that joyous experience, right? That everybody feels joy rather than stress and hectic and all of these things. And so I think that's why we get along so well. We have this joyous process. So, in the coffee arena, I know that there's a lot of business structure very similar to real estate, right? Because you have you have process, right? Tell me about your favorite process ever with a client that you've helped. So whether it be from Boomerang or whether it be in real estate, tell me about the most favorite experience you've ever had in that networking and meeting of people.
Yeah. Well, really, I meet a lot of my clients actually from just the coffee shop, because they're not clients yet, but they're prospects. They're people who might be interested. And so I actually had a customer come up and said, "Hey, Brett, I'm really interested in learning about buying a home. You're a newer agent." And I was like, "That, you're right." They're like, "Why should I trust you?" And I said, "Oh."
It's a tough question.
And I said, "Oh, let me tell you." I said, this is what I said to them. I said, my mission is to transform the real estate experience into an enjoyable process. I want to create informed and confident buyer and seller clients. Mm-hmm. And the way I do this is through the amazing systems we have at Modern. And I have a team, a listings team, that will make sure that your house is marketed to the highest possible potential it could be marketed at.
Right.
And they're like, okay. And I was like, oh, okay, that's good, right? They're like, yeah, this is amazing. Like, you have your systems in place.
Right.
So you know what you're doing.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah.
Well, and if they like you, it's even better,
Yeah,
right? Like
it's a
not
win-win.
only do you have a great team behind you and you have a great process, but you're comfortable in doing that,
Yeah.
and you're comfortable talking with your clients. So tell me, how often do you have clients that are the first time you meet them uncomfortable with the real estate process, and how do you calm and resolve that? How do you make things easier in today's market for people that are truly uncomfortable with the process?
Yeah, honestly, my thinking, is I really don't like the word client. I like the word friend. I really do, because my goal is to make them. They are my best friend.
Right.
When I meet these clients, I want them to know that I'm going to treat them like a friend. I'm going to be honest with them. I'm going to probably tell them things they really didn't want to hear, but that's all to help them.
Right.
If I want to be that true friend. They say if you hear what you want to hear, you're not really a friend. No.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I think in real estate, there's something that we all have, and it's an ethical standard to take care of our friends and take care of people that are trusting us to guide them through life's choices. There's a lot of time that we spend talking about real estate, but really we're just trying to get them to the big time in their life of where they want to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I sit down and I talk with a client about their goals, it's often more about how can we get you there in today's market? Talk to me about or explain to me what you think the current market is like here in Midland and as well as in areas that you've been. I haven't up north a little bit more lately. Is it similar? Like are you finding sellers to be similar?
I'm finding it to be very similar. Areas Alger area is where I've been a lot recently. It's pretty similar. I've noticed that houses that were selling way above asking in the past are now the offers are about right at asking.
Yes.
I've noticed that, and
I've noticed that too. So something that I have noticed over the years is that in 2022, everybody was going way over ask. In 2023, started to soften a little. And now we're finding we're going back to those 2022 years where the numbers are coming back down. I don't want to call it a negative number. I think that we've started to hit the top of the scope for some of the listings. And that's why strategic pricing is so important, looking at areas. Modern is known, and the modern agent is known only in Midland. And this is something that I love and what has changed a lot. When I first started at Modern as a Modern agent, we really were centrifuged right around the Midland area. And now when I look at our 50 plus agents and our team of people, we expand to the scope of pretty much. I've heard of agents going to Marlette, Millington, Canadian Lakes, Harrison, how far? I've been in Houghton Lake 3 days this week. Yeah. Well, not this week, but in the last 2 weeks, I've been to Houghton Lake. Tell me, for you, how far are you willing, and where does your zone actually go?
I tell my clients I'll drive, up to 3 hours outside of
3
Midland.
hours.
I want to make sure they see that house.
Okay.
Or if they're looking to relocate, I want them to relocate with somebody who they feel comfortable with.
Right. You don't want to sell their house here and not take them to find another one. And how is that capable, or how are you capable of managing the statistics of so many different, areas? Is that something all real estate agents do? Like, do you feel comfortable managing? So if you've got a buyer or a seller here in Midland, right? And they want to move to Alger, do you have the capability as an agent to run those numbers and make sure that your buyer, who's a seller, is comfortable with the advice you're giving them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I run comps on every house I show. Okay. Comps are comparable houses. It's called a CMA, comparable market analysis. So I run comps on houses that I'm showing. Every house I'm showing them.
Every house.
Every house.
Every house. Every time.
House.
What if they don't like the house? You still run the comps.
I run the comp.
Before you go.
Before I go. The reason I do that.
You're a workhorse.
The reason I do that is so they know brett's consistent.
Okay.
And wow, I have somebody who's going to do the hard work for me. Because like I said, I don't like them, having to do a ton of work. I want this to be super smooth.
Right.
So I make sure I find all the data. If I need connections, I'll call.
Right.
I will do the heavy lifting. And like, I have a house in Saginaw we were talking about last.
Oh, yes, yes. Okay.
I'm willing to pull permits and get quotes.
Get quotes.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, honestly, the hard work sometimes is easier for us to help with, but we also have to be there to advise them how to do it if we can't do it, right?
Absolutely.
Do we know everything about every zoning ordinance in every place? Absolutely not. No. But what we can do is help guide our friends and our the people we're working with on a day-to-day basis to the easiest route to get the answers they need when they're in the process. The one thing I am definitely noticing about the houses that my clients' friends are looking at is that we are seeing a lot more homes coming on market that need updates to structural or major mechanical components because sellers are finding this at the time that they can get, I don't want to say get away, but they don't have to make those improvements to sell their home currently, okay? If we have an abundance of homes for sale in Saginaw that are all in wonderful condition, we can't put a house on market that needs a roof, a furnace, and a new foundation repair, right?
Yeah.
But what I am finding is we also are able to help our buyers and sellers get those numbers so it makes sense. So if I don't repair this or if seller repairs that, where does that number come into play in the market assessment? Okay. Those are things we can help sellers and buyers determine. Yeah. Now, can we decide what it financially means to that specific person? No. Here's an example. If you have a house worth $100,000, it's only 1,000 square foot, it doesn't have a basement, and this is the structure of the house, and it would be worth $100,000, but its foundation is bad, how do we achieve knowing what that number looks like? How do we do that? We call and help them find estimates so that clients can achieve their goals on houses that still need repairs, because we are finding more that need repairs.
Yes,
have you seen that?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
It's crazy. It is crazy. And that doesn't mean people aren't taking care of their houses. No. They just might not have as much money, or they're moving out. They don't want to put the new roof on. How would you state to a buyer, if the house they were looking at had 5 years of roof age left, what would the conversation look like with Brett as their friend and realtor?
Yeah.
To what you might discuss with them in getting, estimates and navigating the actual inspection clause.
So first, what we do is we look at how much time we have in the inspection period left.
Oh, that's really smart. Making sure you got time left in the inspection period, for sure.
Yeah. So look at the inspection period, and then if we need to extend, we will. We'll ask for it. Mm-hmm. And I always tell my clients, the inspector is there to inform you. That's why you have an inspection. It's to make sure you know what you're buying, right? Mm-hmm. And so, okay, we see that we have less than 5 years of a roof left. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, is it something that needs to be changed right away? Right? Is this, what priority level does it take on your scale of moving in?
So when we're talking about a client when it comes to like roofing, okay?
Yeah.
And the inspection comes back as you have been informed that your roof has 5 years of maximum life possibly left in it. How does Brett, the friend of the buyer, help them navigate through that process of inspection?
Absolutely. So we look at, I ask them, how much do you love the house? Mm-hmm. Well, obviously you love it a lot because you put an offer in on it. Mm-hmm. And so I said, hey, let's go get some quotes so we know numbers, because numbers are good to have.
Numbers are important. Numbers are important.
And so I want to help them through the process of, I want to help them in the steps of getting their roof repaired. And sometimes, we've had cases where we have to ask the seller, hey, Mr. Seller, there's a hole in your roof. My inspector fell through your roof.
You've had your inspector fall through a roof?
But it's fine.
You had an inspector fall through a roof?
Yes, I did.
Oh.
Yeah. But
that one is in dire need of a roof, and so I think you're going to need to get an estimate on that.
Yeah, so I talked to my clients and said, hey, you love the house. Let's see what we can do to get this house for you, because you love it already.
Right.
So we're going to get quotes, and then we're going to work with the sellers to a number they're comfortable with, helping put towards, fixing the hole in the roof.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah, navigating the process of inspection can be something that it really depends, number one, on the buyer's attitude going into the inspection, right? This is something I touch base on during my actual buyer's consultation. I go in and we talk about those contingencies within a purchase agreement that allow the buyer to back out without any negative attributes, okay? And during the inspection clause, that's really where a buyer or a friend lets themselves, a buyer sets themselves up to succeed in owning this home or not. And sometimes financially, they're just not capable of taking care of all the issues that come. But during the buyer's consultation, we talk about why that's important to have, especially I'm seeing with septics and roofs lately, as we were talking about. So it's very important during the buyer's consultation to talk about what an inspection contingency looks like and why we have it in place in a purchase agreement. The second contingency within a purchase agreement is actually the contingency of appraisal. Okay, so an appraisal is the actual bank saying that they are comfortable lending the amount. So if you have a cash offer, it doesn't matter. The lender doesn't care how much the house is worth because there's no lender. You're the lender. Do you have the right to have an appraisal? Sure. But those contingencies within a purchase agreement are so important to buyers so that they can function to make sure they are purchasing a home that they're comfortable buying. Now, how do you navigate through from having contingencies in a multiple offer scenario that best represents your buyer's needs but also satisfies the seller? Can you talk about that multiple offer scenarios?
Absolutely. Yeah. So what I would recommend to my client is, hey, what are you willing? What are you comfortable with putting as an offer? Okay. Let's put that number down. But inspection's a big thing. So I always recommend, hey, you love the house and you really want it. So why don't we do inspection for informational purposes only? Mm-hmm. And so what that is saying, hey, we're not going to nickel and we're not going to look at the little things and put them on a checklist and say, hey, seller, fix it.
Right.
We're going to say, okay, we see that there are some things that need fixed. There are some things that need attention. But it's not going to be a make it or break it.
So does everybody use this inspection for informational purposes, or is that something that the buyer has to be comfortable with? That's their decision, correct?
Right. Yes. Yep. I always
Absolutely.
recommend.
Okay.
I say whatever you're comfortable with.
Because, I definitely have buyers that, some of them are very comfortable. They're contractors, things like that. They're like, I already know what's wrong with it. I'm waiving that. But in multiple offer scenarios, it's very important for the buyer to be comfortable. And when I'm representing a seller and I'm talking about inspection contingency, I very much ask them the hard questions. Do you ever do that? Ask the sellers the hard questions. Tell me what is truly wrong with your home.
Yes.
And in thinking about, is it really something that's going to hit us later? Are there things we're maybe not going to find? Absolutely. There are definitely things that inspectors are going to find in every house that we don't know are wrong with them. But that inspection navigation for both the buyer and the seller is a big thing in today's market. It's coming back. The people are needing it. Before, you could give them, here's your hay wagon, build yourself a straw house, $3 million. I'm just kidding. But it's different today. So talk to me a little bit more about when you're talking to a seller and they're discussing with you the best times to put their house on the market. Okay. How would you approach answering that if a seller thought there was a better or a worse time for putting a home on market?
It's always a good time to sell.
That's right. Always start with it's always a good time.
It's always a good time to sell.
So talk to me, a lot of sellers are wondering, when they approach you, they ask the hard question. They say, when is the best time to put my house on market?
It's always a good time. It's always a good time to sell.
It's always a good time to sell.
Always. Why?
Why is that? Why is that the truth?
Yeah. There's always somebody out there who is looking. And right now, we have so many buyers and not really that many houses. So there are always people who are looking for a house. And it's really our job as the agent, though, to help, the seller figure out, okay, pricing. Pricing's really a big thing.
It is.
And if we price it too high, how long is it going to sit? If we price it too low, we're going to know right away.
Right. So, when I get asked if, it's a good time to sell my house in the current market, and I always say to them, I said, is it a good time for you to move? And they said, well, yes, we want to move. Or no, we're not really sure. Okay. Those are the two answers. We're just thinking about it, or yes, I need to move. So if someone comes to me and says, is this a good time? And it's December, I say it's absolutely a good time if you need to sell. We could just need to strategize and work together, okay? But now if somebody comes to me and says, I'm looking to move in the next 2 to 4 years, we've really got to look at the scope of their house and the current market conditions. And we give them that current market assessment today. So it's always a good time to sell your house if you're ready. Yes. If not, you have to look at those statistics. I met with a I met with a seller the other day that is not sure when they want to move. And they asked me about several questions within their home of whether they should do things or not, okay? Yeah. And we had to look at whether it actually increases your net value for painting your trim white. Does it actually increase your net value in the area by putting a brand new deck on instead of one that's aged, okay? And we looked at all those line items together and figured out what was the best plan for them for their goals. There's always a great time to sell a house. It's when the seller is ready. But there's always a great time to start planning, and that is now. Whenever you're considering moving, planning starts from day one. We need to know numbers. We need to know your goals. We need to know everything about the process that is going to help you achieve selling your home at the best time possible for you. So, Brett, tell me, you have now been an agent for a little bit of time. Yeah. Tell me, what does anybody out there need to know is the hardest part, or why should they become an agent at Modern Realty?
Becoming a modern agent has been the best thing I've ever done. Why? You learn how to, prospect. You learn how to build yourself. You literally make a mission statement and you learn how to live by it.
Mm-hmm. Mission statements are important.
Yes.
It is. I mean, if someone's considering going into real estate, we always say, sit down and talk to a couple places. Modern Realty is not for everybody. We're tough. We expect, we hold you up and we want you. Absolutely. We're going to hold you up if you hold us up, right?
Yeah.
Modern Realty gives you the process, right? Talk to us about how they streamline that so that you could become a better agent.
Yeah. So I came from another brokerage, actually.
I wasn't going to bring it up unless you did.
No, I came from another brokerage, and the level of support that Modern, gives to their agent is tremendous. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I have open houses, guess what? I have a whole listings department who is willing to help. They're ready to help me put folders together, open house folders to give to my potential friends. If I have a listing, which I've had a couple now, they run my signs. They've ran them out to Gladwin, and I'm like, oh, this is great. The level of support is just amazing.
Yes, I definitely feel that. And I think also, though, the other thing that I think you didn't articulate there is the level of support you get in learning the actual ways of real estate.
Absolutely.
Okay. It is great to have we have great assets there, but the actual camaraderie and discussing about how to take care of our friends the best we can, I feel that's one way Modern Realty sets themselves apart. Modern Realty gives our agents more support in learning the job and more support in being there for us whenever we need anything. Absolutely. And again, I've never been to another brokerage, so hearing it from you is a wonderful thing.
And I will say, the mission statement of Modern is to create informed buyer and seller clients, but also on a flip note is Modern, right, creates confident and informed agents.
Absolutely. We know how to achieve the goals of our friends. We want to ensure that every day is comfortable and moving forward for them to their goals. Buying a house is never something you go out and say, I want to buy a house. No, honestly, you have to have a house at some point, right? So knowing that the process is going to be amazing and it's easy and we all feel comfortable negotiating together, all of the things, it's super important that we get that basis. One last thing. Tell me what it's like on a day-to-day basis for Brett the Realtor.
Yeah.
How's your schedule? Is it easy? Is it hard? What do you do?
Yeah, no. So, it really starts out with, I try to every single day make sure I reach out to all my clients, see, hey, has anything changed? Are we still on to look at this house today? Hey, you have a showing today. So the beginning of my day starts with touching base with my clients, getting everything arranged, and then really the rest of the day is networking. It's learning. Every other Wednesday is huddle.
Yes.
So, learn how to be a better agent. So that's what my day really looks like.
So you plan your day and it actually stays the way it's supposed to stay?
Absolutely not. No.
No, we plan our days and then what happens?
Yeah, it changes. It changes.
Everything changes. I love that. I love that you've joined Modern Realty. I love that you're a modern agent with us, and I can't wait to see the things that you continue to do. When we talk about your goals, what's your goals in the next 5 years in real estate? What do you want to move into?
Yeah, so I want to specialize in helping first-time home buyers. I really do because I'm relatable, I think. And I'm young enough to be able to relate to those first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
And, getting over the hurdles of finding a lender, getting pre-approved. What's an inspection? I don't know, right? No, I do.
Yeah.
Getting through appraisal, figuring out what do we do if something doesn't appraise. Mm-hmm. I want to help these first-time home buyers with their firsts, because then what will happen is they'll create a relationship and referrals, and I want to help their friends.
Yeah.
Right. And I want to help their mom, their dad, their grandma, grandpa, their dog. I don't know. I want to be that realtor, right? I want to be that person. If somebody calls and says, "Hey, Brett, I want to look at this house," I don't want to be the person who says, "Hey, I can't do it today or tomorrow, maybe next week," because when next week comes, it'll be gone. In this market, it'll be gone. I want to be the realtor, right? And that my goal is to be that person who says, "Hey, Mr. Buyer, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's look at this house. Let's achieve your goals. And let's go get you a house."
All right. And thanks so much to all the listeners out there that listen to the podcast. We truly appreciate your support. And if there's any questions you might have, go ahead and share and question on our podcast.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Modern Agent Podcast. Please follow at Modern Realty Midland on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And if you need to buy or sell a house, please reach out to Modern Realty by going to www.modernrealty.us. Modern Realty, your home, our focus.